Welcome to the ultimate soccer betting playbook. This is Just Win Footy Bets, baby, with JoeDaFan and Brad Betts Footy, live on the Believe Network.
After a tough start in yesterday's fixtures, we clean up nicely for game day 15. It is, of course, game day 16 here live in Burke, Virginia. Me, JoeDaFan, here for match day 16, and we have 6 matches to cover. Let's take a look at the agenda here, guys. We'll talk about Senegal, Iraq, Norway, France, a game that I'm definitely looking forward to. Cape Verde taking on Saudi Arabia, Uruguay taking on Spain in the second segment, Egypt, Iran, and of course, New Zealand taking on Belgium. Folks, good morning to everybody. Good, happy Friday morning. And without any further ado, let's just jump right into it, guys. This is stuff that we did struggle in the first part of yesterday. A couple bad beats. Japan didn't really help us. We did call, of course, Team USA going down against Turkey. Again, it's just business here, guys, but we did clean up at the very end. But let's talk about this game without any further ado. Let's talk about, of course, Senegal taking on Iraq. So, again, it's the final team. It's the final match day of the 2026 game in this group stage. And both teams are playing for their lives in Toronto after both nations suffered consecutive losses to powerhouses France and Norway. This is literally a win or go home scenario. So because of the 48-team format, a third-place finish can still secure a ticket to the round of 32. However, a draw eliminates both teams. So Senegal needs to be more of a cohesive high-margin victory to clean up their -3 goal differential and stand strong. And their chances of being one of the best third-place teams, Iraq sitting at -6, needs an absolute miracle, starting with the first ever men's World Cup victory. Let's talk about Senegal, of course, exploiting the urgency here. So despite the 3-1 loss to France and 3-2 to Norway, the Lions to Teranga have shown plenty of teeth, led by Pap Tawa. Senegal's high block and fierce transition play has generated considerable offense. Their expected goals in the last 2 games has been 2.24. So, again, something to keep in mind. Here's the plan for Senegal. Senegal will press resiliently from the opening whistle. They know goal differential is everything, so they won't stop attacking even if they get an early lead. I do see Sarr, who has been electric, already netting 2 goals in this tournament, alongside Mane and Bayern Munich's Jackson. Senegal's boasts an elite European tier front line and should heavily overwhelm Iraq's domestic backline. Let's look at Iraq real quick. Defending deep, and they're actually searching for the history here. As I alluded to earlier, they need a miracle. But Iraq has endured a brutal return to the world stage, conceding 7 goals and scoring just once. They have been proven to self-inflicted wound, with 3 errors directly leading to goals in their first 2 matches. The head coach of Iraq will likely employ a low defensive block, looking to frustrate Senegal and clearly incoming waves of pressure. They already had 48 clearances in the tournament. They will rely heavily on their high crossing accuracy, 45.5% on the counter. If Star Hussein can shake off a muscle injury, his aerial presence is Iraq's best weapon. If he sits, look for Luton Town's Hamande and former Manchester City Academy product Cuba to string together magic in transition. This is an undeniable talent gap here. Iraq enters the game having conceded over 5 goals allowed, or goals against, I should say. The third worst defensive record in the tournament, facing a desperate Senegal team that actively needs to run up the score. Iraq's backline is bound to bend and break under the pressure of Sar and Mani. So I'm going to give you our first pick here. I see a 3-1 victory for Senegal. Senegal's defense have been uncharacteristically leaky lately, so Iraq might nick a goal on a counterattack here or a set piece, but the African powerhouse simply has too much firepower. That being said, guys, let's look at the first bet here. We have, of course, I do see both teams to score on this one at plus 102. This is a lean, absolute lean. I do see goals here. You may want to look at a different market here. Senegal to score in both halves. So that is at minus 125, courtesy of your friends over at Bet Rivers. If I had to pick something here, guys, that is exactly what I would pick. Senegal to score in both halves. Okay, that means the first half, obviously the second half, and that's at minus 125. I'll go 1 unit play on that, do a little pizza money on both teams to score. And let me just double check something real quick for you guys. And then we can go, of course, to the next part, team pictures. Something, again, like I said, I really do like this team, of course, with Senegal. They've shown, of course, what they can do. But yeah, like I said, both teams, this team shots, we don't want that, but both teams to score in both halves at minus 125. And that's going to be a 1 unit play for me. All right, let's move on to, of course, the next matchup here. And this is something that everybody's been waiting for. Norway and France. Plus 360 for Norway, minus 159 for France. And you can see the numbers there, both coming in with both wins in their group, the 2 wins. I love Norway. Don't get me wrong. I love the way that they have been playing. But, you know, you got to look at it this way. The stage is set for an absolute blockbuster. And this is a 3 o'clock game, Gillette Stadium, Foxborough. This isn't just a clash of group. A group that what's on the line here. It's a heavyweight showdown between these two defining superstars. Of course, I'm talking about Erling Haaland and Kylian Mbappe. Let me grab some coffee here. Okay, so both teams have already cruised into the round of 32 after dismantling Senegal and Iraq, but finishing first in the group dictates a much smoother path through the knockout bracket. Now, the odds-on favor, and that's what we did. We got them at 5-1 France, so we're hoping for France to win this one. And that's what I'm going to lean toward. I'll tell you about that in just a second. So France sits at the top of the group because of the goal difference at plus 5. They beat Senegal 3-1 and Iraq 3-0. A win or a draw guarantees, of course, the top spot. For Norway, is right behind them on 6 points, plus 4 differential. After a 4-1 thrashing of Iraq and a 3-2 win over Senegal, Norway must win to steal the first place. I don't see Norway winning this game. I really don't. They're the ultimate dark horses, don't get me wrong. And Norway's front foot approach has been one of the most exciting stories of the tournament. Of course, you've got the firepower of Erling Haaland, who's been nothing but a lethal weapon here, sitting on 4 goals in just 2 matches, supported by, of course, Martin Odegaard, pulling the strings in the midfield, providing physical width. Norway can't score against anyone. I truly believe that. The concern here is their backline is vulnerable. They've conceded 3 goals in the tournament so far and hold and expected goals against at 2.52 is what we've calculated. So with Julian Risen out injured, Marcus Peterson has a massive shift ahead of him at right back. for France, they're also known as the Juggernaut. As I mentioned, we got them in at plus 500. It is now they are the odds-on favorite to win it at plus 375. So you may want to look into that, guys, before the knockout stage. Nevertheless, Kylian Mbappe is matching a Holland goal for goal, also at 4 tournament goals. Backed by a terrifying, creative duo. France has unparalleled squad depth. So you don't want to see these injuries. You don't want to pick up any ridiculous cards. So you could possibly be suspended. I'm not implying that it is or not, but you just don't want to do that. So I think the structure is unlikely that unlike Norway, France controls games with a much tighter structure floor. Their central defensive duo offers elite physical recovery pace to deal with Holland. And their team, as I talked about before, their goals against sits at a very, very low 1.15. So that being said, I mean, again, I can see these teams doing very well. I could see both teams to score. Yes, that's going to be a piece of money for me on that one. It's currently at plus 175. I see a 2-1 here, guys. I see a 2-1. I do see over goals. Both teams have scored at least 3 goals in each of their 2 matches. The problem is when you look at the number here, guys, it's over 2.5. It's at minus 210. If you want to do, for example, I'm going to do this for you. I'm going to do a parlay of a same game parlay. I'm going to go France, and I'm going to parlay that with over 2.5 goals. Let's see what that gives you. At minus 113, I'm going to take it. I'll go 1 unit on that. France to win. And, of course, over 2.5 goals. I do see 2-1 here, guys. I really do. I do see France winning this. I just think Norway's historic run has been incredible, and Holland will likely find the net given his hot red form. However, France simply boasts too much depth, tournament pedigree, and defensive stability. And when the game opens up in the second half, France's bench depth will tilt the scales. It could be a 2-1 France victory. It could be 3-2. It could be chaotic here. If the shackles completely come off here, I think it could be going crazy here. But France still wins this, and I still believe that it'll go over 2.5 goals. So take a look at that parlay, guys. Before the break, let's talk about our next game here, guys. I'm referring to Cape Verde taking on Saudi Arabia here. This is a team I have backed pretty much almost from day one there. I love, this is Group H, of course. I love the way that Group Verde has come in and played, coming with 2 draws. We'll talk about that in just a second. Saudi Arabia, a draw and a loss. So what does this entail for these guys? The finale here is a massive win or go home. Very similar to what we talked about before in a previous game. For both sides at NRG Stadium in Houston, Texas, World Cup, the debut of Cape Verde had surprised everyone. Sitting third in group on 2 points, and after finding a highly impressive draw against heavyweights like Spain and Uruguay. These are not just cakewalk teams, right? Saudi Arabia sits fourth with 1 point following a 1-1 draw with Uruguay and a crushing 4-0 defeat to Spain. I do think that in order for Cape Verde to kind of make it to the round of 32, which I am hoping for, okay, a win guarantees them a historic spot in the knockout round. I think they do win. I'll explain that in just a second. A draw would likely see them sneak through as one of the best third-place teams. Sure. I see that. They could draw or they could win this. Hence my bet I'm going to talk about in just a second. Nothing less than a victory will do. They must win to leapfrog Cape Verde to give themselves a shot at advancing. So with Cape Verde, they're, the resilient Cinderella story here. The Blue Sharks have been the ultimate feel-good story for this tournament. Their success had been built on a highly disciplined, compact defensive block that frustrated Spain and repeatedly clawed back against Uruguay. So, I think that, of course, in order for their blueprint to work for Cape Verde, Saudi Arabia is forced to chase all 3 points. Cape Verde can't afford to defend deep and unleash players, excluding veteran Ryan Mendez making his 100th appearance on the counter. I think the structural organization here for Cape Verde is they don't panic under pressure, and they have shown immense physical and mental resilience. As we talk about Saudi Arabia here, the Green Falcons have been a turbulent campaign. Excuse me. A heavy 4-0 loss to Spain ruthlessly exposes structural gaps in the defense, forcing, of course, them to reconsider their tactics. I think Saudi Arabia has no choice but to attack. I think that Kino is expected to return in the starting lineup to inject some much-needed steel into the midfield. While there's a lot of people that's going to say that, hey, Saudi Arabia has, they must carry the creative burden on their shoulders. So the urgency of this situation, however, is pushing numbers forward, placed directly into Cape Verde's counterattacked hands. I think Cape Verde's formation will be a 4-3-3 to Saudi Arabia's 4-2-3-1. I do see Cape Verde winning. I'm going to go a little pizza money on the win, and that's at plus money, guys. You can see that at plus 163. I do like so I'm going to go pizza on that. I'm going to go with a 1-unit play, Cape Verde, draw, no bet at minus 124. I'm going to be a little conservative. Okay. That being said, is because Saudi Arabia's obligation is, of course, to attack, is going to create open spaces in defensive transition, which is exactly where Cape Verde ultimately has thrived throughout this tournament. The Blue Shark has shown significantly better cohesion, defensive discipline, and tactically matured over the last 2 matches. Expect Saudi Arabia to push hard early, but Cape Verde's resilience will allow them to absorb the pressure and exploit a fragile Saudi back line on the break. Again, pizza money on Cape Verde and at plus 163 there, or I would go draw no bet Cape Verde at minus 124. I'm going to go 1 unit on that. I think since Saudi Arabia must score, I think over 2.5 is a possibility. Don't look over that at plus 112. I go a little pizza on that, but my official bet for this game is Cape Verde, draw no bet at minus 124. So that, of course, is the first segment of match day 16 of this great World Cup tournament. But when we return, we will talk about the other 3 games next here on Just Win Footy Bets. As some of you who've been following us know, we have officially partnered with Sleeper, the absolute best place to play fantasy sports and daily fantasy picks. And because they're teaming up with us, they're rolling out the red carpet for you guys. Right now, Sleeper is offering a 100% deposit match for first-time users to up to $100. It's a no-brainer whether you're building your season-long fantasy powerhouse or hitting the daily player projection. Sleeper is where you need to be. Download the Sleeper app right now in the App Store or Google Play. Use our exclusive promo code JWBB when you sign up, and they will match your first deposit up to $100. So get on the action and join us today, and let's start winning those tickets. Must be 18 years or older to play. 19 in Alabama and Nebraska. 21 plus anywhere you get, of course, the Sleeper app. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper terms of use for details. If someone you know, or if you know, has a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER, and help is always available. All right, guys, so welcome back here as we cover the next 3 games. Now, notice the time difference also before we begin. 3 o'clock for the first 2 games, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the rest, and then of course 11 o'clock on the rest. It's just been crazy, guys. Been absolutely crazy for this tournament. But speaking of crazy tournament play, let's talk about our next match. I'm of course referring to Spain, Uruguay. And you can see the numbers there, guys. Plus 510 for Uruguay, Spain at minus 157. This is going to be a Spain win. No question about it. I see a 2-1 here. Let's talk a little bit about that, because Uruguay cannot afford to sit back and play for a draw, because Cape Verde win would eliminate them. Let's keep that in mind. They will attack, and they will possess a massive aerial threat on set piece with, with a lot of things on the line. However, the high tempo pressing style leaves gapping pockets of space. Spain's midfield, technically superior in depth off the bench, should ultimately pick Uruguay apart on the counter. I do see that of course, La Silencia, will of course fight like hell and get on the score sheet. But Spain's quality will seal the win and top the spot in Group H. I do like, guys. And this is I'm going to go with a pizza bet here. I do like both teams to score, and it's at plus 107. The reason why I say that is because Uruguay, they're going to have to leave it out there in order for them to qualify to round 32. Again, a Cape Verde wins. This is not good for Uruguay. So they would be completely eliminated. I think they at least squeak one goal in there. I see a 2-1 victory for Spain. As I mentioned before, a draw does not help them at all, because with Cape Verde's victory, which again I talked about in the previous segment, Uruguay would be eliminated. So keep that in mind. I see the probability of the wins here of what I've calculated. Spain 66% to win, the draw being 23%, and Uruguay being 13%. So you could see here, guys, as Spain being is what they are right there, minus 157. I'll say this here, over 2.5 goals. If you look at that here, guys, is at plus 112. May want to put a little pizza money on that as well. So this is a game that I'm definitely looking forward to, ladies and gentlemen. But this is something, again, they have to be smart about. It's smart in a sense of what is the blueprint for Spain. So let's talk about that a little bit. I think, of course, Spain, they've looked resilient, but heavily misfiring, picking up back-to-back draws. Excuse me, I'm talking about Uruguay. So, including a chaotic 2-2 draw with Cape Verde, where their defensive flanks were repeatedly exploited. I think for the blueprint for Uruguay would be they can spring lethal counters with Darwin Nunez, but who these two, and Aurora, who has 2 goals in this tournament. I just think the press is too high. Spain's wingers will shred their vulnerable fullbacks. I don't think right now, I really don't think, that's why I've got Spain winning it completely. I think they'll dominate possession. I think that Rodri anchors the tempo, and he'll feed, of course, Yamal, and to create more of a 1v1 overloads on the outside. I just don't see. I think that Spain has their head on straight now after that initial scoreless blip against Cape Verde. So once they destroyed Saudi Arabia 4-0, I think they kind of got their head on straight now. But that's going to be my lean here, guys. Both teams to score. Yes, that's plus money there. I would look into over 2.5 goals there. That's also plus money. So something, again, to take a look at for that one. Let's go to our next match here, guys. I'm talking about New Zealand taking on Belgium. Now, this is something that you can see here. We got New Zealand at plus 1,400, Belgium minus 560. A lot at stake here as well. So let's talk about that. This feels like a ultimate rubber meets the road match for Belgium. They're aging but highly capable generation in a sense of the New Zealand defense has been an alarmingly an alarming kind of situation in the sense of shipping 5 goals in just 2 matches. So while the Kiwis possess the heart and the aerial threat via Chris Wood, they lack the structural stability to keep a desperate Belgian attack quiet for 90 minutes. So Belgium's luck in front of goal has turned eventually. Look for De Bruyne to finally unlock a defense with a signature defensive split pass, allowing Lukaku, to open his 2026 account. I think Lukaku has a field day here. New Zealand will fight bravely, but individually quality and ultimately triumph. I do see a win to nil for Belgium. I think the key X factor is Dooku of Belgium, with the center back, of course, suspended. I'm talking about Ngo. The defensive structure shuffles, but Dooku return to the wing provides the raw, explosive pace Belgium desperately lacked in the first 2 matches. I expect Belgium to dominate possession and carry out New Zealand's half. I do see the big tactical question is whether Rudy Garcia will unchain De Bruyne and push him higher up the pitch to break down a low block rather than letting him drop deep. That was the concern that I have. I'm going to go, guys, with Belgium win to nil here at plus 107. I'm going to go with a 1 unit play on that. So that will be one of my official picks here for this one. In regards to New Zealand, they're going to be expected to play a 4-2-3-1 formation. I just think that the All Whites is expected to set up a compact mid to deep defensive block. They will rely heavily on Chris Wood's physical presence to hold up the ball and give them an outlet. Just, the X factor, Elijah Just, has been New Zealand's standout player for the tournament, scoring twice already. His energy in transition will be vital to make Belgium's backline uncomfortable. Listen, I just don't see it. I really don't see it with New Zealand. I really don't. They have 1 point. Obviously, Belgium needs this at least to try to make it in the second place. At least try to make it to the next round of 32. But give me Belgium win to nil. I see a 1-0, 2-0 here on this. I really do think Belgium is going to do very well, and I think Lukaku is going to have a field day today. And as long as the skipper of Belgium would just let De Bruyne be De Bruyne, I think that will happen. So that's going to be my official play, win to nil at plus 107. Let's go, of course, to our last matchup. This is something that is going to be an amazing game. Egypt and Iran. You're looking at this game, you look at the numbers here, guys. I just want to point that out. Look at the plus money. I'm not understanding that. So there's something that I don't know. There's something that I just don't understand what is going on with this particular book, but or with the numbers. How do you have Iran at plus money, the draw at plus money, and Egypt at plus money, especially Egypt? A winner draw guarantees they top the group or comfortably advance the knockout round in the first time in World Cup history. So Egypt, as you'll recall, I'm still baffled by the number here. So I'm going to say that, look, let's talk about Group G here. This brings, of course, a historic higher stakes encounter that takes place in Seattle. Egypt has put themselves in a fantastic position, leading the group with 4 points after drawing with Belgium and defeating New Zealand 3-1. Meanwhile, Iran enters the final match day with 2 points after grinding out successive draws against New Zealand 2-2 in a massive 0-0 stalemate with Belgium. While Egypt is nearly across the finish line, the group remains mathematically wide open, leaving everything else to play for. So again, a win for Iran guarantees automatic qualification. A draw leaves them heavily relying on what takes place in the New Zealand-Belgium match, which I just talked about earlier, or hoping to squeeze through as one of the best third-place teams. You got to talk about the Egyptian king here. I'm talking about Mo Salah. He has unlocked a brand new version of Mo Salah. And let's not take anything away from Omar Mamouche. But rather than being pinned to the right wing, Salah is playing centrally and with total creative freedom, racking up a goal and 2 assists so far. Mamouche causing havoc alongside him. Egypt boosts a dynamic, quick striking transition game and that few can contain. To play it safe here, guys, this is what I'm going to do. To play it safe, I honestly don't understand, and I'm looking at the book right now. Was there a mistake? Was there blah, blah, blah? Tino bet at minus 195. Egypt at plus 142. This looks to me like a trap game. Okay. I do think Egypt wins. If you want to put a little pizza money on that, please do. However, that being said, I like 2 goals here, over 2 goals on the aging handicap at plus 108. That's going to be my 1 unit play on this one here, guys. I think Egypt wins, but keep in mind it could be low scoring. So hence, if you'll notice here, minus 246 on the under 2.5 goals. Like I said, I find it very hard to see Egypt at plus 142. I think the books are trying to, either they made a mistake or they're trying to suck you in. Don't get suckered in, especially when you see these numbers. I looked at the math numerous times, hence why we started a little late. But I'm going to go with over 2 goals on the Asian handicap at plus 108. That's going to conclude today's session in match day 16. I wanted to start a little bit late because I wanted to see Team USA. I'm so happy that Team USA, of course, qualified. Unfortunately, they did lose to Turkey, but glad to see when you're talking about the soccer that Turkey was able to get on the scoreboard at least, and leave without falling flat on their face. But Turkey's a better team in this tournament. USA, don't take anything from USA. USA was playing pretty much the backups. So, again, don't get discouraged here, Team USA, as they take on, of course, they move on to the next round. But I wish all the teams the luck, and I wish you guys the luck today on this Friday day's fixtures. Don't forget to catch us tomorrow, and we will return here with some great bets for you here for Just Win Footy Bets. Good luck, and let's catch those tickets. Take care.